accompanied by...
We bring you the results
we hoped back then would open all our eyes.
Prime time. From New York, Diane Sawyer.
Good evening. We bring you the results of a primetime investigation.
1, 2, 3, 4, check.
We brought in two young professional housing testers, accompanied by hidden cameras. Here's how we started.
Meet John Cunin and Glenn Brewer. They're both from the Midwest. They went to Big Ten schools, grew up in middle-class families, even play on the same softball team. They're friends. Two young men whose lives are virtually the same in every way but one, the one you can see. A few months ago, John and Glenn agreed to pack their bags and help with our investigation. Our question, how much difference does the color of your skin make in everyday life in America? John and Glenn need to find some place to live. John goes first.
A one-bedroom, it's got air conditioning.
The manager gives John a set of keys.
The key system will work as your master.
Okay.
Okay?
John tours the vacant apartment. He's told it's available immediately.
Got a couple other places I'm going to look at, and if I decide on this one, I'll be back. I'll have this filled up. Okay?
Okay, I appreciate it.
All right.
John leaves, and listen to what happens when Glenn walks in a few minutes later. Suddenly,
The apartment has been rented?
The manager explains that regrettably, early that morning, a woman paid a deposit on the last available apartment.
Oh, called in earlier this morning?
There's nothing for Glenn to see, so he leaves.
Bye-bye. You too. Okay.
We decide to go in search of an explanation.
May we ask you a couple of questions? These two gentlemen came in, and when this one came in, you gave him keys to an apartment, one bedroom with air conditioning. But when this gentleman came in 10 minutes later, you said there was no apartment available.
No, I told this gentleman I had a call on the apartment.
But we pointed out what he had said. He had told Glenn the apartment had been rented by a woman that morning. Yet he showed John the apartment in the afternoon.
Oh, ma'am, I am not prejudiced. I got Mexican, I got Jewish, my God.
How many black people in this apartment?
There's none.
Later, Glenn remembered the manager's parting words.
He said, "Bless you both." And that infuriated me. How dare you wish blessings on me after you have just insulted me, after you have just told me that I can't live here because of the color of my skin.
and here is what happened when the two men set out to look at purchasing a car. They ask about the same red convertible, same salesman. How much down payment is needed?
What do they usually ask down?
Anywhere from 10 to 20%. You know, it just depends, sure. Well, normally the banks want anywhere from 20 to 25%. So you're looking at a couple grand there.
Already, John's advantage is as much as $1,000. And what about the price of the car?
You could probably pick it up for somewhere around the 9 range.
9?
I mean, if I could get you in the car for, say, 95 even, if you'd be interested.
Since we heard all of this from the van, we decided to get out and see if we could get some answers. And we asked him why John and Glenn were quoted different figures.
Well, they're all different. It just depends.
Two guys come in looking at the same car. What's the difference? For him, the banks will do 10 to 20. For him, 20, 25? What's the difference?
Depends on the vehicle, man.
Well, they were looking at the same vehicle.
Oh, okay.
And here we are today in new times and a new conversation about race. We decided to try to find Glenn and John again.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Almost 30 years. Can we believe it?
The report we did together has been played in classrooms and diversity seminars for the past 3 decades.
And I remember at the time, even some people talking to me after saying like, well, that took me out of the denial phase. And so this idea that they were denying that racism even existed in this country.
But for these two men, that experience is as vivid as yesterday.
I just remember in that incident that particular gentleman gave me the master key for the units in that complex. Not that, just I said, if the other key doesn't work, here's your master. I mean, I remember that vividly, and just what a striking difference that really was.
When you start affecting people's pocketbooks, their wallets, I think that has a serious impact on their life.
You remember after we screened the piece, you said to me, I knew that there was bias. I knew bias was at work. I just didn't know how much nicer white people were to each other than they were to me.
I believed I presented myself as a pretty good person, as a pretty decent guy. And so that's not to say John isn't, but I just thought that all things being equal, we would receive the same treatment, and we obviously did not.
And look at some statistics from now. When it comes to buying cars, minorities pay on average $410 more per car loan than white people with the exact same credentials. And what about renting an apartment? A study just released of the Boston rental market showed discrimination against black renters 71% of the time.
Hey, Glenn.
Hey, John, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing
So
okay. How you
our
doing?
testers, John and Glenn, have stayed friends. There's Glenn at John's wedding, Glenn with his 3 daughters, and John's 2 sons. And they have both spent their careers working on equality for their communities. So over the 30 years, living their one friendship and their 2 realities, wondering how this can still be happening.
What would you like to say to that person almost 30 years out?
This is not changing. What else should you do to try to keep progress moving forward and keep working to make things change?
I would say to myself, don't get tired, because the road is going to be a lot longer than you anticipate. Don't give up.
And when we come back, what these Americans think should be done.